and we're going to get started on more cold remedies. And actually, it's the same remedy. I'm just going to reiterate it. And when we get through that, we're going to go through some materia medica. And I'll tell you what my husband and I did. Oh, let's look up this Agaricus in my other materia medica. Hello, Agaricus. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. It's kind of an interesting remedy. Agaricus muscarius. And while I'm looking that up, we're gathering up folks. Hi, nice to see the hearts. Good evening on this freezing cold day. I'm in Palm Beach area, for goodness sakes, and it's cold. But my family, my son, and his friend are down here with us. And they were supposed to be spending time in nice, sunny, warm Florida, and it's only in the, 50s, right? Is it in the 50s, Perry? I think it's in the 50s, but they're coming from Buffalo where it's below zero. So cold, and with the wind chill factor whipping up down there, it's I heard recently it was about below minus 18 degrees wind chill factor. And Chicago is, I heard the wind chill factor. I used to live in Chicago, the windy city, and I didn't realize Chicago was going to be any colder than Buffalo, but it's even colder there. So I urge you all to stay warm. We're going to be talking about the flu that I had, my husband had, and what we did about it. We talked about it before a couple weeks ago, but I'm going to reiterate it because I want you to have these remedies on hand. Make sure if you didn't hear it last time, what I talked about and how we went about doing it. So good evening, everyone. It's 8:03, so I believe I can get started now. I've got a good number of people. I love to see all the hearts. I love you folks too. Love doing this. Love teaching. I just love getting this out there. Let me tell you something about homeopathy. If you don't already know, homeopathy is often under siege. It's been under siege for a long time. And the reason it's because our competitors don't want homeopathy because why? I bet you know why. Because it's curative, inexpensive, and in your hands more often than not. You can do it yourself. So it's a competition to be concerned with if you're on the other side. Now, it doesn't mean, and I've said this before, it doesn't mean we don't use modern medicine because it has value, but it falls short when it comes to the flu. It falls short often when it comes to chronic conditions. It falls short when it comes to childhood illnesses, in my estimation. It often falls short when it comes to birthing and babies and pregnancy, etc. Many other areas as well, but there are times when we use conventional medicine, and I divert for a reason because I don't want you to believe that I am anti-modern medicine, although I've given it, I've kind of whacked it around a few times on my blog and in my classes and courses. But we do need modern medicine for surgery. When surgery is truly needed, and it's not always needed, but when it's truly needed, it can be life-changing. It can be life-saving. We also like it because it can be useful for diagnostics. And the medicine method that I use, the homeopathic medicine that I use, and my method, which is based a lot on the Banerjee protocols, is based on conventional diagnostics. We don't use naturopathic diagnostics. We use conventional diagnostics. So I like it for that reason as well. And so tests can be useful. And I also like it for when someone has an emergency, such as if you've gotten hit by a car or something, then you certainly want to get yourself to an emergency room. So getting back to our subject tonight, we're going to be talking about two subjects. One is the flu and what I did recently, because the flu is so ubiquitous right now. It's romping through the country. I think it was Saturday, we got, I'm going to guess, maybe 15 emails or maybe a combination of emails and blogs, or 15 or 20, which is a lot for us to be discussing one subject on colds and flus. Lots of people are sick. And what's unique about this particular cold flu season, although it does happen pretty much every year, is that it goes away. You treat with the medicines, it goes away, and you feel, okay, I've licked it. And then it comes back again a couple of days later. And then you treat it again, and it goes away, and you feel, okay, I've got it under control. And then it reverts back again. And what most often is people are reverting back to is tremendous, tremendous fatigue. Now, when I had it a while ago. I've kind of lost track because it comes and it goes. But each time it comes back again, I take these medicines we're going to talk about. But I feel it in my chest. And what I feel, and a lot of people are reporting this, I feel that the seat of the condition is in my chest. Not that I have a cough, not that I have pain. I don't feel as though I'm getting bronchitis. It just feels as though something deep is happening in my chest. And I noticed that it's a sensation of grand fatigue here. Now, we can use a remedy called antimonium tart for that. That's a great remedy for that sensation. Antimonium tart, although I'm not going to be talking about that one tonight. I will be talking about it soon because we're going in alphabetical order for the in the materia medica. Also, stannum metallicum can also be used for that weakness in the chest. There are others as well, but those are the top ones. However, what I have found across the board for a lot of folks is the remedies I told you about. I think it was last week, maybe it was the week before. It was aconitum 200 and bryonia 30. So this is what I've done. I put a rubber band around them so that we can find them readily when we need them. Now, this is what I've been doing, and for my husband as well. And it's a great success so far, but it has been a great success. The moment we feel that fatigue or something's coming on, or there's, that feeling, as soon as you say, I start with aconitum bryonia. Aconitum napellus 200, bryonia 30. And we actually take them together. I won't put it in my mouth now because I took a dose a few hours ago. I actually put, 3 or 4 pills in the cap, toss it in my mouth, and do the same thing for the little blue one, which is bryonia 30. Open it up, pour it in, and put it in my mouth so that they're taken at the same moment. They actually mix in the mouth. It's a combination medicine that the Banerjees have found very useful, and I couldn't agree more. It's a slam dunk for a lot of people. So my husband was doing pretty well with it, but then he got a tremendous pain behind his left eye. His sinuses were painful, but particularly behind his left eye. And he kept saying it felt like searing pain. Sometimes it was burning pain, but it was quite excruciating, and he couldn't concentrate. He couldn't work very well. So I said, okay, let's put this aside for a little while, meaning just could be even just hours. And we're going to use Spigelia. Spigelia, Spigelia. We used it in a 200 potency. And why did we use Spigelia for him? Because Spigelia is very specific for pain behind the left eye, particularly pain that is quite searing and extreme. It's generally not mild level pain. It's something that you really, that's quite noteworthy. So we used Spigelia 200, and then we went back to aconitum bryonia 30. Then we went back to Spigelia. And how were we doing this? About every 3 or 4 hours. As the weakness diminished in him, we stopped the aconitum bryonia, got that, put it aside, and stayed with the Spigelia. And we used that about every 3 or 4 hours. After the first dose of Spigelia, he commented to me that he still had some pain. It wasn't as severe, but he could concentrate. He could get back to work. And that's how you know, and I want you to remember this, folks. When you take a homeopathic medicine, Now we're describing an acute situation here, not a chronic. Acutes move a lot faster because the disease moves faster. So when you have an acute situation and you take a medicine, don't just watch for the one condition that you were worried about, the sore throat or the fatigue, or although that's that will likely go pretty quickly, but the pain behind the eye or the ear pain or something. Watch for the satellite conditions as well. He couldn't concentrate. He was fatigued. All of that started to melt away. And as that melted away, so then did the main condition. So many times people report to me, I don't see that the medicine's helping me. And I say, well, what about the anxiety? Oh, well, that's better. Well, that's part of the satellite condition. That what else are you feeling? Well, I still have that itching, etc. But what about the sleeplessness? Oh, I don't have that any longer. So we have to look at, now those for chronic conditions, it takes a lot longer. Eczema can take months, sometimes even many, many months to uproot. So we're watching to see what is falling to the wayside so that we know that we've chosen the correct medicine and that we ought to stick with it. So it's different with homeopathy than it is with conventional medicine. Generally speaking, with conventional medicine, you take the medicine and bam, it will take care of those symptoms often. You take that Tylenol, it will take the pain away. But as much as you can get out of that Tylenol is as much as you will get out of it. You will not see improvement. Generally speaking, what you get from that first dose or second dose is as far as it'll go. With homeopathy, what we're looking at is if we see a softening of the condition, including satellite symptoms, that indicates to us that the medicine is correct, likely correct. It's not always, but it's likely correct. And that means that you're going to get more value out of it as you continue taking it. So it gets better. And it gets better and better. So when my husband saw that the pain behind his left eye had improved, and only slightly in the beginning, and then his concentration level and fatigue was backing off, then we knew, just keep staying with these medicines and we will see a completion as you continue taking it. So what we've both found is that we take the medicine for a day, we sleep really well, we wake up in the morning, and often we feel completely fine the next day. Then 2 days later, it starts to come back again. Now, he has not had the pain behind the eye come back again. The only thing that we have felt from time to time is he has a little bit of a tickling cough, and I still have a little fatigue that comes up every once in a while. And when it does, I use my medicines. And it slows it down. And over a period of probably another week or so, we should be able to see complete resolution. But meanwhile, what we're doing is we're really uprooting something on a very deep level, which is exactly what we want to do. We're not treating symptoms. We are treating the condition and the person. So tonight, excuse me, we're going to be talking about Agaricus, which is a toadstool. And this is my Materia Medica. I'm reading it right. Oops, this way. Everything's backwards. I'm reading from my Materia Medica, but you can read about this online by looking at James Tyler Kent's Materia Medica. He passed away in the 50s, and so his Materia Medica, I've seen it up online for free through the years, and so you might want to read that. Own Materia Medicas, folks. This is how you're going to learn this. I know I say this over and over. I say it every time, but I want to encourage you to do that. So Agaricus, which is a toadstool. Of course, you would never eat a toadstool. We all know how dangerous anything that looks like a mushroom can be unless we're absolutely certain of its safety. The main picture of this medicine is a twitching, jerking, and tremors. Now, we're not going to use this for the flu unless you have that, but it's also for Bell's palsy. And Bell's palsy and facial tics can often come from cold air coming on. So if you were to get stuck in Chicago and the wind was blowing hard and you got a case of Bell's palsy, or anything in which the face becomes so cold that it affects the nerves, this is a remedy that you might want to consider. So it's for facial tics, Tourette's syndrome as well. Of course, we're talking about chronic here, but Bell's palsy is often, not always, but often just an acute. So it could be a great medicine for that. So remember this, Agaricus muscarius. I'll spell it. It's Agaricus. Of course, I think it's going to be backwards here. Muscarius, Muscarius, Agaricus muscarius, often known as simply old Agaricus. It's generally also a remedy that's great for developmental problems, particularly developmental problems in children, for example, when they can't perceive distances properly. So they see a little marble on the floor. We're not talking about an infant here, or, a toddler. We're talking about a child who's a little older, maybe 5. They see a little marble on the floor, and instead of stepping over it like this, they step over it like this to compensate for their misunderstanding of distances and perceptions of relative size of objects. So that can be a key for this, a keynote for this, the use of this medicine. So Agaricus muscarius, I'm still talking about that. Let me see what else we want. Oh, developmental delays. And it's interesting because we just finished talking about Athusa last week, which had a lot to do with developmental delays, but Agaricus can as well. Now, how do we differentiate between the two? Well, I use Athusa very frequently, particularly for milk intolerances like I discussed last week, just to reiterate. And I don't use Agaricus muscarius very often. I save that. It's kind of in my thinking, it's a secondary, tertiary medicine, whereas Athusa for delayed development is a primary medicine to consider. So, but I want you to know about it because it's it's good for you to know the depth and breadth of homeopathy, of our materia medica, that allows us to always have a backup. So a lot of times I hear people say, well, I tried homeopathy and that didn't work. And I say, well, tell me what you did. And they described they took some medicines and that didn't work. So that was the end of that. No. We have, it's been said we have 6,000 homeopathic medicines available to us. So you can see if we find that we have the flu and oscillococcinum doesn't do it, then we might go to aconitum bryonia. If that doesn't do it, we might go to what I described earlier for my husband. We might use spigelia. If that still doesn't do it, we might still consider heap ourselves. We've got lots of remedies to choose from, and there's more than one way to skin a cat. So remember that. If we have a child who's developmentally delayed and we've used Athusa and we've given it a good amount of time, and I mean at least 8 weeks, and we're watching for even the tiniest shifts, and when we see a tiny shift, then we stay with it. But if we see nothing and we try another, say 4 weeks, and we still see nothing, we might want to go to Agaricus. It's certainly one of the concerns, or excuse me, one of the medicines that we can fall back on. There's also Burita carbonicum. We've got a lot of medicines that are specific for delayed development. So I want you to think in terms of broadening your understanding that there isn't just one medicine. I always give you the medicines in my blog, on these podcasts, in my courses that will teach you how to use the medicines that are the most commonly used. The medicines that within 85% of the population who uses that medicine for that particular condition, we see a shift. That's a pretty high number. That number is not out of the hat either, by the way. That number was given to us by the Banerjees. They often say that about 85% of the population will be, the condition will be often at least partially corrected, perhaps not fully corrected, but at least partially corrected by a particular medicine. So we know that that's a good place to start. Why not start with the simple and then go to something that's a little more complex and consider other medicines? So I also want to tell you, I'm getting lots of calls and emails and blog posts from folks who are interested in learning about how do I detoxify? Well, I want to tell you that we're drafting a course right now called Rethinking Detoxification with Homeopathy. And so it's going to be all about how to detoxify from this or that, or what the symptoms are. Even if we don't know what the etiology is, the cause, we can still use our homeopathy to clear toxic aspects of our health. And so with that, I see all you folks there. Hi from the Gulf Shore. I know it's cold up there because I just spoke to a client this morning or this afternoon from Louisiana. She said it's pretty cold there. Tampa, Florida, I'll bet it's cold there too. Ohio here. Oh, Pennsylvania. Hi, folks. I'm sure it's freezing there. So stay warm. And when you start feeling better from the flu, don't go back to your full activities. Take it easy. I always tell folks, if you have an ear infection and you clear it with homeopathy, you're pretty much safe. You can go on with your life once you know that it's clear. If you have a stomach flu and you've taken your homeopathic medicines and you've gotten past it, or you got past it from time, then you can pretty much go on. The same thing for a lot of kinds of conditions, even a sore throat, conjunctivitis, tonsillitis. But if you feel something that's in the chest, that's in the lungs, I can't urge you enough to really take it easy, which means stay extra warm. Make sure that you've got a scarf that covers your chest and your ears and your head. And the Northerners, I know I don't have to teach you that, but sleep in, take naps. Don't go to that extra dance class at night. Don't do extra activities. Do as little as you can and conserve your energy. Drink lots of citrus, lots of oranges, lemons, and grapefruit juice that you juice yourself, and stay very hydrated. And so with that, I say God bless you all. Love you all. Take care, folks. Stay warm. Bye now. See you next Monday.